Will you marry me? What if I told you that the most important question you will ever hear is not asked in a crowded room, under bright lights, or surrounded by applause? What if the question that changes your life forever arrives quietly, after years of struggle, after nights of doubt, after moments when you almost gave up on yourself? And what if that question is not really about marriage at all? Because before anyone can truly ask, "Will you marry me?" life asks something far deeper. Will you commit? Will you stay loyal to a vision nobody else can see? Will you believe in your future when your present gives you no evidence? Will you choose destiny over comfort? Most people think success begins with opportunity. They're wrong. Success begins with commitment. Long before the world says yes to you, you must say yes to the life you were born to create. I want you to imagine something. Imagine standing at the edge of a massive mountain before sunrise. The air is cold. The path ahead is hidden in darkness. You cannot see the summit. You cannot see the rewards. You cannot even see the next mile. Yet something inside you whispers, "Keep moving." That voice is not random. That voice is your future calling you. The truth is, every extraordinary life begins with a proposal. Not a proposal from another person. A proposal from possibility itself. Life kneels before you every single day and asks, "Will you marry your purpose? Will you commit to your dreams? Will you stay faithful when the journey becomes difficult?" Most people hesitate. Most people say they want greatness, but they do not want uncertainty. They say they want abundance, but they fear investment. They say they want transformation, but they resist change. And because of that, they spend decades engaged to their potential without ever marrying it. Think about that. Engaged to potential, dating possibility, flirting with greatness, but never fully committing. The wealthiest entrepreneurs I have ever met did not possess magical advantages. They simply made a decision most people never make. They stopped negotiating with their future. They stopped treating their dreams like temporary visitors. They made a commitment. And commitment changes everything. There was a time in my own journey when nothing made sense. The vision was clear, but the results were invisible. Every morning felt like planting seeds in a field that refused to grow. Every setback seemed to ask the same question. Are you serious about this? Not because life wanted me to fail, because life wanted proof. You see, destiny has a strange habit. It never reveals its greatest rewards to the curious. It reveals them to the committed. The world tests every dream before it trusts it. The universe challenges every vision before it supports it. And every breakthrough waits behind a door that only persistence can unlock. That is why your difficult season is not evidence that you are losing. It may be evidence that you are approaching something extraordinary. The greatest mistake people make is believing that uncertainty means stop. No, uncertainty often means continue. The caterpillar experiences uncertainty before becoming a butterfly. The seed experiences darkness before becoming a forest. The diamond experiences pressure before becoming priceless. And you are no different. Right now, there may be moments when you look at your life and wonder if your efforts matter. You may question whether your sacrifices are worth it. You may wonder if your dreams are too ambitious. But listen carefully. The size of your vision is not the problem. The size of your belief is, because every remarkable achievement in history existed twice. First in the imagination, then in reality. Before a skyscraper touched the clouds, it lived inside someone's mind. Before a company transformed industries, it existed as an idea. Before a movement inspired millions, it existed as a thought. Everything you admire was once invisible. That means your invisible dream is not weak. It is simply early. Never confuse invisibility with impossibility. The world often celebrates outcomes while ignoring commitment. People admire the victory but overlook the years of discipline. They see the success but miss the sacrifices. They applaud the arrival but ignore the journey. Yet the journey is where transformation happens. Because the real reward is not what you achieve. The real reward is who you become while pursuing it. Every challenge strengthens you. Every setback teaches you. Every obstacle develops a version of you that would never exist without resistance. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is preparation. The strongest steel experiences the hottest fire. The brightest stars emerge from the darkest skies. And the most powerful individuals are often forged during seasons nobody else understands. So if life feels difficult right now, Do not immediately assume something is wrong. Ask a different question. What is this season trying to teach me? What strength is being developed? What wisdom is being earned? What future version of me is being created? Because hidden inside every challenge is a gift disguised as struggle. The people who discover that gift become unstoppable. And those who become unstoppable understand one powerful truth. Confidence is not certainty. Confidence is commitment despite uncertainty. Confidence is waking up and moving forward before you have all the answers. Confidence is trusting the process before seeing the outcome. Confidence is saying yes to your future long before your future says yes to you. That is why the most successful people are not fearless. They are faithful. Faithful to the vision, faithful to the mission, faithful to the promise they made to themselves. And that promise matters because every day the world will attempt to negotiate it away. Distractions will tempt you. Comfort will seduce you. Fear will challenge you. Doubt will question you. But your future belongs to the version of you that refuses to break the commitment. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now, not the version shaped by fear, not the version shaped by excuses, the version shaped by courage, the version that stayed committed, the version that continued when quitting felt easier, the version that honored the dream. What would that person tell you? I believe they would say something simple. Thank you for not giving up. Because every breakthrough you seek is connected to a decision, and every decision is connected to commitment. The extraordinary life you want is not waiting for luck. It is waiting for alignment. Alignment between your vision and your actions. Alignment between your goals and your habits. Alignment between your dreams and your commitment. The moment those align, everything begins to change. Not overnight, not instantly, but inevitably. And that brings us back to the question that echoes through every ambition, every challenge, every opportunity, and every dream. The question that destiny quietly asks every person willing to listen. Will you marry the future you were meant to become? Will you commit when results are invisible? Will you remain faithful when progress is slow? Will you continue believing when evidence is scarce? Because the answer to that question determines everything. And somewhere deep inside, I believe you already know your answer. There is a reason that answer keeps returning to your heart, no matter how many times you try to ignore it, because purpose is persistent. You can delay it. You can distract yourself from it. You can bury it beneath responsibilities, fears, and temporary comforts. But if something was placed inside you for a reason, it will continue calling your name until you finally respond. Many people spend their lives searching for signs. They wait for perfect timing. They wait for certainty. They wait for permission. They wait for someone else to believe in them first. But history has never belonged to the people who waited. History belongs to those who moved. The entrepreneur who built an empire did not begin with certainty. The innovator who changed industries did not begin with guarantees. The dreamer who transformed their life did not begin with proof. They began with belief. Belief is one of the most misunderstood forces in the world. People think belief is a feeling. It is not. Belief is a decision to trust your vision before reality catches up, a decision to keep showing up when results are invisible, a decision to act like your future already exists. Because every achievement is first built in the mind. Your external world eventually becomes a reflection of your internal world. If your thoughts are small, your actions become small. If your vision is limited, your opportunities become limited. If your expectations are low, your results often follow. But when you expand your vision, everything begins to shift. You start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You start recognizing opportunities hidden inside obstacles. You start understanding that every challenge carries information, and information creates transformation. Think about the ocean. From the shore, it appears calm and predictable, but beneath the surface exists an entire world invisible to the eye. Your potential is exactly the same. Most people only see what you have already accomplished. They cannot see the skills you are developing. They cannot see the discipline you are building. They cannot see the wisdom you are collecting. They cannot see the future version of you being created beneath the surface. And because they cannot see it, they may doubt it. That is why you must never allow somebody else's limited vision to become your reality. People judge your future based on your present. But destiny judges your present based on your future. There is a difference, a massive difference. One looks at what is, the other looks at what can become. And everything extraordinary begins with becoming. Becoming stronger, becoming wiser, becoming more disciplined, becoming more courageous. Becoming the kind of person capable of carrying greater responsibility and greater success. Success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by becoming. The moment you understand that, everything changes. You stop obsessing over outcomes, you start focusing on growth. You stop asking, how long will it take? You start asking, who must I become? Because the person you become determines the life you experience. A stronger mindset creates stronger decisions. Stronger decisions create stronger habits. Stronger habits create stronger results. And stronger results create a stronger future. This is why every breakthrough is first an identity shift. You cannot consistently outperform the image you hold of yourself. If you secretly believe you are unworthy, you will sabotage opportunities. If you secretly believe success belongs to others, you will hesitate when opportunities appear. If you secretly believe your dreams are unrealistic, your actions will reflect that belief. But the moment your identity changes, your world begins changing with it. The moment you decide that you are capable, resourceful, resilient, and worthy of growth, your behavior starts matching that belief. And behavior repeated over time becomes destiny. Listen carefully, your life is not changing because of one giant decision. It is changing because of thousands of small decisions made consistently. The decision to keep learning, the decision to keep improving, the decision to stay focused, the decision to maintain discipline when motivation disappears. Motivation is temporary, commitment is permanent. Motivation comes and goes, commitment remains. And commitment is what separates dreamers from achievers. When the excitement fades, commitment continues. When circumstances become difficult, commitment continues. When nobody is watching, commitment continues. When progress feels slow, commitment continues. That is why commitment is so powerful. It does not depend on emotions. It depends on purpose. And purpose creates endurance. The strongest people are not always the most talented. They are often the most persistent. They simply refuse to stop. They understand something most people overlook. The finish line belongs to those who remain in the race. Every day you continue moving forward. You increase the probability of success. Every lesson learned makes you stronger. Every challenge overcome makes you wiser. Every obstacle conquered expands your capacity. And capacity determines how much success you can sustain. Many people want bigger opportunities. Few people prepare for bigger responsibilities, but life often gives opportunities to those prepared to handle them. That preparation happens long before recognition arrives, long before applause arrives, long before rewards arrive. Preparation happens in private, and private preparation creates public victories. Imagine an archer pulling back a bow. To the untrained eye, it appears the arrow is moving backward, but that backward movement creates the power necessary to launch forward. The same principle applies to your life. Sometimes progress feels like retreat. Sometimes delays feel like defeat. Sometimes challenges feel like punishment. Yet what appears to be a setback may actually be preparation. Life may be pulling you back only to launch you further than you ever imagined. Never underestimate the value of preparation. Never underestimate the power of patience. Never underestimate the significance of persistence, because extraordinary outcomes often require extraordinary endurance. The people who eventually achieve greatness are not always the fastest. They are the ones who remain committed long enough for their efforts to compound. And effort compounds exactly like wealth. A single investment may seem insignificant, but repeated investments create fortunes. A single workout may seem insignificant, but repeated workouts transform a body. A single lesson may seem insignificant, but repeated learning transforms a mind. Small actions repeated consistently create extraordinary outcomes. This is the hidden law behind every remarkable success story. The world notices the breakthrough. It rarely notices the years of accumulation that created it, yet accumulation is where real power lives. Every day you invest in yourself, you are building invisible assets: confidence, knowledge, experience, discipline, resilience, leadership, vision. These assets eventually become impossible to ignore, and when that day arrives, people will call your success sudden. But you will know the truth. You will know it was built one decision at a time, one challenge at a time, one commitment at a time, because success is never an accident. It is accumulated commitment. And that commitment begins the moment you decide that your future deserves more than your excuses, the moment you stop negotiating with fear, the moment you stop seeking permission, the moment you stop waiting for ideal circumstances, the moment you choose action over hesitation. That is the moment everything begins. That is the moment destiny starts responding. That is the moment your future starts moving toward you. And perhaps that is why this question feels so powerful. Will you marry me? Because commitment changes identities, commitment changes priorities, commitment changes futures. The moment you fully commit to becoming who you were meant to be, the old version of you begins to disappear. A new version emerges. Stronger, wiser, more confident, more focused, more unstoppable. And once that transformation begins, there is no going back. Because you have seen too much, learned too much, grown too much. You are no longer the person who once doubted. You are becoming the person who believes, the person who acts, the person who persists, the person who achieves. And the journey is only beginning. The journey is only beginning. And this is where most people misunderstand the meaning of commitment. They think commitment is a prison. They think it limits freedom. They think saying yes to one path means losing every other possibility. But the opposite is true. Commitment creates freedom. A river without banks becomes a swamp. Light without focus becomes a blur. Energy without direction becomes waste. Power comes from concentration. The moment your attention stops scattering across 100 distractions and begins moving toward a single vision, something remarkable happens. Your life gains momentum. Momentum is one of the most valuable forces in existence. At first, progress feels difficult. Every step requires effort. Every action feels heavy. Every decision feels uncertain. But eventually, momentum takes over. The habits become natural. The discipline becomes automatic. The confidence becomes real. The vision becomes clearer. And what once felt impossible begins feeling inevitable. That is why winners are not always people with superior talent. They are often people who protected their momentum. They refused to stop when stopping would have been easy. They refused to quit when quitting would have been justified. They understood that consistency creates miracles. Not the miracles people talk about, the miracles people live, the miracle of transforming a dream into reality, the miracle of becoming the person you once admired, the miracle of looking back at your former self and barely recognizing who you used to be, because transformation is not an event. Transformation is a process, and every process requires trust. You must trust yourself enough to continue. Trust your preparation, trust your growth, trust the lessons hidden inside the challenges, trust that the delays are not permanent, trust that the failures are not final, trust that the difficult chapter is not the entire story. Many people quit because they mistake a chapter for the conclusion. They experience one disappointment and decide the dream is over, one rejection and they abandon the vision, one setback and they surrender the future. But life does not work that way. A storm is not the climate, a setback is not destiny, a failure is not identity, a difficult season is not a permanent residence, it is simply a place you pass through. And if you keep moving, eventually you leave it behind. Think about every successful person you admire. Every one of them carries scars. Every one of them faced moments of uncertainty. Every one of them experienced fear. The difference is not that they avoided difficulty. The difference is that they continued despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in the presence of fear. Courage is action while uncertainty still exists. Courage is believing while evidence remains incomplete. And every extraordinary life is built on courage. There comes a moment in every journey when the future begins whispering louder than the past. A moment when your vision becomes stronger than your doubts. A moment when possibility becomes more persuasive than fear. That moment changes everything, because once the future becomes more attractive than the comfort of staying the same, growth becomes unstoppable, the old limitations begin falling away. The old excuses lose their power, the old fears start shrinking, and the person you were meant to become starts emerging. Not all at once, but steadily, powerfully. I want you to imagine yourself years from now. Imagine waking up in a life you once prayed for, a life built through discipline, a life built through courage, a life built through commitment. You are standing in a place that once seemed impossible. The goals have become reality, the struggles have become lessons, the doubts have become memories. And as you look back, you realize something profound. The breakthrough did not happen when circumstances changed. The breakthrough happened when you changed. Everything external followed everything internal. The wealth followed the mindset. The opportunities followed the preparation. The success followed the growth. The confidence followed the commitment. That is the secret most people spend years searching for. The life you want is not created from the outside in. It is created from the inside out. Your future begins with your thinking. Your thinking shapes your actions. Your actions shape your habits. Your habits shape your character. And your character shapes your destiny. Which means destiny is not something that happens to you. Destiny is something you build day by day, choice by choice, decision by decision. That realization is powerful because it returns control to where it belongs. To you, not your circumstances, not your past, not the opinions of others, not the limitations around you. You, the author of the next chapter, the architect of the next seasons, the creator of the future that is waiting to be built. And that future is closer than you think. Many people imagine breakthroughs arriving like lightning, sudden, instant, dramatic. But most breakthroughs arrive quietly. They arrive through a decision, a commitment, a promise, a refusal to quit, and then one day the results appear. The world sees the outcome, but only you know the journey. Only you know the sacrifices. Only you know the discipline. Only you know the nights when nobody believed. Only you know the battles you fought in silence. That is why your victory will mean more, because it was earned, not given, built, not borrowed, cried, not inherited. And there is a special confidence that comes from building something yourself, a confidence that cannot be purchased, a confidence that cannot be faked, a confidence created by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you honor your commitment, you strengthen your self-respect. Every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. Every time you persist, you strengthen your belief. Eventually, belief becomes certainty, and certainty becomes power. The most powerful people in the world are not always the richest. They are the people who trust themselves, the people who know they can survive challenges, the people who know they can adapt, the people who know they can rebuild if necessary. That kind of confidence creates freedom, because when you trust yourself, fear loses much of its control, and when fear loses control, possibility expands, new opportunities appear, new ideas emerge, new doors open, not because the world changed, because you changed, because your perspective changed, because your standards changed, because your commitment changed. And now we return to the question that has echoed throughout this entire journey. Will you marry me? Not merely as words, but as a symbol of commitment, a symbol of faith, a symbol of loyalty to a vision, a symbol of saying yes to the person you are capable of becoming. Life is asking, opportunity is asking, your future is asking, your potential is asking. Will you commit to the dream when nobody else understands it? Will you continue when progress feels slow? Will you believe when results remain invisible? Will you stay loyal to the vision during difficult seasons? Will you become the person required to receive the future you desire? Because if your answer is yes, everything changes. The path becomes clearer, the purpose becomes stronger, the obstacles become smaller, the future becomes brighter. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you become stronger. And strength changes everything, so stand tall, draw your standards, protect your vision, guard your momentum, trust your journey, believe in your growth. And remember this, the future belongs to those who commit before they are celebrated. The rewards belong to those who persist before they are recognized. The breakthroughs belong to those who continue before they are certain. Your next chapter is waiting. Your next level is waiting. Your greatest opportunities are waiting. The life you dream about is waiting. And today, right now, in this moment, you have the power to answer the question that can transform everything. Not tomorrow, not someday, today, with courage, with conviction. With unwavering belief, say yes to your future. Say yes to your purpose. Say yes to your potential. Say yes to the life you were meant to live. And when the world eventually asks how you achieved what once seemed impossible, you will smile because you know the truth. Everything changed the moment you committed. Everything changed the moment you believed. Everything changed the moment you answered yes.